Hey guys, I'm Godber, and this is my story. So I was a military kid, and when I was younger we were stationed in Bitburg Air Base, Germany. We lived off base in this little farm town called Asthmatic, right in the center of Germany. Because of where we lived, we picked up one channel on the TV on a good day if the bunny ears were turned just right. So our indoor entertainment mainly came from music. I grew up listening to gospel and pop, rock, but my main interest with music was actually instrumental music. I loved instrumental music. Something about it just really drew me in. There was a particular sax player getting really popular in the late 80s that my parents were really big fans of. So my parents were really big fans of Kenny G, and through inception of listening to that constantly in the house, it kind of made me want to play the saxophone too. So by the time I was old enough to start playing the sax, we were living in Charleston, South Carolina, and I was starting middle school. And middle school band is the quickest, easiest way to start playing an instrument, particularly a saxophone. And that's what I wanted to do, but my doctors told me I couldn't play the saxophone because my asthma was too bad. My doctors were worried that playing the saxophone would exacerbate my symptoms and just make me frequent the ER a lot more. But what happens when somebody tells you you can't do something? So that internal pride instinct really kicked in and made me want to prove them wrong and show that I could do it. So my parents got behind me and they rented me an alto saxophone. I started 6th grade band August 25th, 1997. Saxophones have a lot of buttons on them anyway. They're complicated, it takes a lot of air. It's really hard to play this thing. But when you have asthma on top of that, it really adds to the difficulty. So I remember that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I gave my saxophone, my asthma, and everything else to my man Jesus and asked him to bless it. And by 8th grade, I was the first chair sax player at Morningside Middle School, Charleston, South Carolina. I was also the only saxophone player that year. Fast forward to high school, I started 9th grade. My dad retired from the military and we moved to Florida. My guidance counselor sat me down, said, "Hey, what do you want to do for the rest of your life?" So in addition to listening to a lot of Kenny G when I was younger, I may have also watched too much Top Gun. And I wanted to go in the military like my dad. I wanted to fly jets and blow stuff up. My guidance counselor said, well, we have junior ROTC, you can get a taste of it, kind of see if you like that sort of thing. Of course, I also played saxophone, but they said I couldn't be in band and ROTC, I had to do one or the other. ROTC seemed to make the most sense at the time, so I did that. 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, I was on the honor guard drill team, and I loved it. And then going into my senior year of high school, I found out you can't go in the military with asthma, which would have been really nice to know back in 9th grade when I was signing up. You know, God knows what He's doing. All things work together for the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purposes. And I believe that to be true. I never stopped playing the saxophone. The entire time I was playing the sax at my church, about 3 services a week. I was playing on the praise and worship team, and they didn't give me any music. I just kind of had to figure it out, and therefore I learned a lot about music theory and playing by ear and ad-libbing, and that helped me more than anything. And I kind of had to learn through the school of hard knocks some things that I probably wouldn't have learned in band anyway during that time. And so it really forced me to kind of develop my own style and my sound early on by having to learn to play that way. By that time, I really started taking my music a lot more serious. So now I was getting paid to play the saxophone, playing weddings and churches and sitting in with other bands and traveling and getting to play a lot of cool opportunities. Even dancing with the stars whenever the season ends, they go on tour, and I've got to play with them a couple times when they travel through Florida. A lot of neat opportunities like that have come along that I would have never dreamed of and would have not been possible were it not for the saxophone and being obedient to God and letting Him take the wheel. Even though music is what I do full time, I work part time as a respiratory therapist because God does have a sense of humor, and that's what I went to college for. But I do that part time, and it helps pay for the health insurance for my family. What I call my first album was in 2009 when I graduated from respiratory school. I came out with a project called One Breath at a Time. It was definitely a play on words considering my asthma and becoming a respiratory therapist, and that I was taking this whole music journey one step and one breath at a time. It was more of a gospel jazz kind of project, and that paved the way to the next album And then finally to my contemporary jazz, smooth jazz debut in 2015 with a project called Starting Over, which had a lot of radio success with some singles called Rain and Chill, which both got picked up by Sirius XM Watercolors and went to number 6 on the Groove Jazz Music Charts. And most recently, my latest album, Momentum, came out in January, and I've collaborated with a lot of other artists such as Bob Baldwin and Adam Holly on this project. So all of my music is available on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, as well as Pandora. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please click like, subscribe, share. Someone may need to hear this inspiring story. I hope that does inspire someone. But whatever your problem is, big or small, if God's done this for me, what can He do for you if you just let Him? Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you on the road sometime. Hopefully I'm coming to a city near you. If not, let's make that happen. So reach out and let me know. Thank you guys again. I will see you in the next video.